AEW Grand Slam is in the books. Another big show from the AEW brand. New Ring of Honor World Champion, new AEW International Champion, and still the AEW World Champion, MJF. We're going to talk about it throughout today's show. What's up, people? My name is Mekz, WrestleManiac, if you will, back on Revolution Radio duty alongside my co-host, NK.
Yo, people, it's your boy NK, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. Yeah, we're here to break down Grand Slam, man.
How did you find the show in general?
I thought the show was really good. I think off rip, I think it was better than last year's Grand Slam. Granted, I don't remember everything that happened on last year's Grand Slam. I remember like Saraya debuting. I remember Muto was on the Rampage. I remember a few things happened like last, and then obviously the Danielson and the Moxley match happened to crown the new AEW champion. I thought this show was top to bottom. Like, I enjoyed everything on the show. There were highs and lows, but I thought Grand Slam was like a really solid show, really good show.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, yeah, like last year and this year, like I just feel the occasion kind of pales in comparison to the first Grand Slam. Maybe it was just the occasion of Danielson versus Omega. Like,
yeah,
but I just feel like since then these have just been like big dynamites as opposed to a TV special kind of thing. I don't know, like I just didn't get the same feeling, and I'll elaborate as we kind of go through the show. But I just feel like there were some parts, and it could literally. I'm not saying that the wrestling was bad or anything like that. I just feel like it could be the way that they are framing it or producing it is different. I don't know.
There's because there was less people at this one than there was at the first one. So
yes,
you notice that the camera only stays in one location. But I also do think if we take away, and obviously it's a big match to take away, but take away Danielson and Omega from the first Grand Slam, that card is very mediocre.
Yeah, it's probably just the occasion of what that meant to us as fans.
And during the time period as well, AEW were just like that whole period of time. We just come off all in, like the aura, the energy around the company was different, innit? I think I agree with you. Like none of these Grand Slams post the first one have compared to the first one, but I think if I compare it to the second one, I think this one was better than the second one.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good, like organized show. I think it was a five match card. Like it was just kind of to the point, takeover-esque, if you like. And yeah, we had some really, really good matches, some controversial decisions, but some good matches, which we'll get into. So hit the like button, subscribe to WRESTHINGS if you are new here. We're going to get into it. AEW Grand Slam Dynamite from Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York City. The show opened up with the Ring of Honor World title and the New Japan Strong Openweight title being on the line. Claudio Castagnoli versus Eddie Kingston. Wheeler Yuta came out with Castagnoli. Really good exchange throughout this entire match with these guys. Obviously, they've been selling us this hatred and the disrespect of their entire career feud. So it was really good stuff from both sides. They went for about 15-ish minutes. Lots of there's one part when Kingston was just chopping at Castagnoli, and Castagnoli just was egging him on to do more, and Kingston just jabbed him straight in the face, and Castagnoli dropped like he got folded up like a chair, but in the end, Kingston won the match with a powerbomb, pinning Castagnoli and becoming a double champion, never openweight champion, and the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion. What did you think of this match, NK?
I think it wasn't obviously as good as the Ring of Honor match. I think the Ring of Honor match was like a lot better. But I think that's because it got more time, and like with a TV show, you kind of got to like tighten everything up. But I just thought the crowds were so like the crowd were like like the thing that really put over this match for me. Just hearing them chant Eddie, and then when he won, it was like just seeing him get that moment. I mean, this is nitpick, but I wish there was pyro. I just wish there was pyro.
Right.
I wish there was pyro, but for me, it's like, you know what, fair, like, cool. There's no pyro, cool, fine, whatever. But just seeing Eddie have his moment and just like win that title, and just even because I'd watched the kind of 1 hour like build up they'd done for this, that kind of just like was the final nail in the coffin. Okay, like, cool, I'm ready. I'm as motivated as I can be for this match. Let's go. And then just seeing Eddie have his moment and finally, finish his story was great. I wish there was pyro. I wish there was confetti, but it is what it is. It doesn't detract too much from the match for me, but it's like, it would have been a nice touch.
I'm not gonna lie. This is what I was waiting to say. Like this, it didn't detract from the match, but for me, it detracted from the occasion. Like, I feel, and maybe this is more of a fan-driven thing than AEW. A lot of people have been clamoring for a moment like this for Eddie Kingston. And yes, during the match, I felt that the fans were loud for Eddie Kingston. Like you said, they were screaming his name and all the chants and everything like that. When he actually won, I expected it to be louder. Like, I expected the crowd, and obviously, like you said at the top of the show, it wasn't like a sellout show. But I don't know. I expected it to be louder, and if not for louder, then like you're saying, the pageantry of pyro, confetti, or something. Like, I think especially for this story, for Eddie Kingston in general, this moment, I'll go as far as saying not even just deserved, but needed something like that. That's just how I feel. Like, I just feel like it. Like, when it was all said and done, even when Eddie celebrated, he kind of looked to the hard cam, just said thank you, turned around to everyone, and then I think it started maybe setting in for him. It just felt a bit underwhelming, like the actual moment for me personally.
I mean, I watched this at like maybe like 6 a.m. in the morning, just getting ready for us. I was watching it and I was like, oh, Eddie Kingston won. I was like, the finish shocked me, but then when he won, and when they started padding to the crowd, it was like, okay, like, yeah, this is a big moment. I think what I would have liked, and maybe this is just due to the time constraints on TV, is like to sit with the moment a bit longer. I think having that moment where Eddie Kingston, because when you think about like, okay, big underdog stories, you think of like Eddie Guerrero's and stuff like that, and those happen on pay-per-views, innit? Where you had the pyro, the confetti, and you have the guy sitting in the middle of the ring, like either crying or just deeping life. And we kind of saw that as he was on the ramp. You could see but then that's a cut because they have a show to run. But I think for me, I don't know, this is weird, but when I went on Twitter and I just saw the graphic of Eddie Kingston as champion, and I was like, yeah, I'm satisfied. But I do agree, in the moment, in the building, a bit of pyro would have helped, a bit of confetti. I think a bit of confetti would have just done it for me. But I don't know, I wasn't too taken aback by it. I was like, when Eddie Kingston won, I was like, finally. And that's because of how hot the crowd was throughout the match. If they weren't hot in the match at all, then I would have been like, yeah, this is dead, but
yeah.
And I'm also interested to see how his run as champion goes. Is this sustainable? Is it a thing where, okay, he wins the championship and now we don't care anymore because he's completed the mission?
Because he's done it, yeah.
Yeah. So my biggest thing, not concern, my biggest focus right now is, okay, he's won it. Cool. Now you're a champion.
Yeah.
Let's see if you feel like a champion. You know what I'm saying? Because that's been the big thing about, even we've been fantasy booking Eddie Kingston as AEW champion. We said, yeah, the moment will be nice, but when he wins it, what are we gonna do next? Now we're here. Not like we're here now. So
yeah,
let's
see
what
what champion,
champion
light. Like, let's see what this would have looked like. I'll say the one thing that this title, the Ring of Honor World title, kind of done for Castagnoli. Obviously, he's with BCC anyway, so his position is kind of well protected. But it gave him the opportunity to maybe make cards that he wouldn't have necessarily been on. Have some singles match with some semi-high profile guys in some instances, and maybe they'll just kind of transfer that kind of booking to Eddie Kingston. But yeah, I don't know. I just really felt, you know what, going into Grand Slam, because I knew this was probably going to happen in terms of Eddie Kingston winning, I genuinely thought they'll do MJF for Samoa Joe to kick off the show and put this match in the main event.
Main event.
And then because if you noticed, even at the end of the MJF match, there was like an extended period where they were just in the ring celebrating, not really doing much of anything. That could have all been Eddie Pyro,
Eddie
confetti,
Kingston,
this, that, and the other. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know. Obviously, he's the AEW World Champion, so you put him on last. But yeah, for me, the moment just could have been maybe a bit better to hit home that he's finally kind of done it or something. But yeah, good match. Claudio Castagnoli extended his hands to all the honor, respect stuff, and that's especially what Eddie Kingston wanted to be acknowledged. And then we went from that emotional kind of segment of that win to the bedside of Roderick Strong, where the Kingdom were there in obviously this kind of put together hospital setting. Roddy Strong's lying on his bed, and the Kingdom are basically, they need to go and start getting ready for Grand Slam. Adam Cole appears, and they're like, oh, conveniently you come in now, and all of this kind of stuff. Adam Cole comes to see Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong's like, Adam, I can't see you. And Adam Cole's like, open your eyes. And then he sees him, but Adam Cole is basically a flying visit as well. He says, oh, you're not going to leave me, are you? He goes, I need to get to Max, so you're choosing Max over me. Same kind of stuff they've been doing. When Roderick Strong comedically put that bed up slowly, that was making so much noise, what did he say when the bed reached the top? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
He said something. I didn't write it down in my notes, but he said something, and just put the bed back down. This was interesting to see, and obviously these guys are the Kingdom are part of a 4-way match on Rampage, Grand Slam Rampage, to see if they'll win that and face Better Than You Baby at Wrestle Dream. Is it
Wrestle Dream?
Yeah. So we'll see how they get on with that. Probably the favorites to win. Christian also, he cuts a promo before we get into the next match. Christian and Luchasaurus about Darby Allin. They're going up against Darby Allin and Sting on Grand Slam Rampage as well. And then there's also going to be a 3-way match for the TNT title: Luchasaurus versus Christian versus Darby Allin. Is that on Collision? Did they say
Collision? Yes, Collision.
That's on Collision this week. Christian slipped up on his words and said handicap match and then changed it back to 3-way. But I can't see anything else but Christian actually winning this title at this point.
Yeah.
I think to make it even more dastardly, if he pins Luchasaurus, whether by cheating or I say sneaking up on Luchasaurus, or like finger poke of doom sort of stuff, and he just pins Luchasaurus for it. We'll see. But how do you think they're gonna do this finish, since you're in agreement?
I think it's gonna be a thing where I don't think Luchasaurus or Christian are gonna separate. I think it's gonna be a thing where like either Luchasaurus does all the work and Christian just comes in and steals all of his hard work. Because you know what? I think this is the right call as well. Because as much as I'm loving the whole I'm not a real champion, Luchasaurus is the real champion, it's not doing much for Luchasaurus.
Doing nothing.
It's not doing much for Luchasaurus. And I think Luchasaurus is better suited just being the heavy, unfortunately. He's just better suited being heavy, because Christian right now, he might as well be, even though he's the fake champion, he's the real champion.
Yeah.
Because we're here to see him. We're here to see him. So it's like, put the title on him, and it's given the TNT title a bit of identity now. Like, okay, like, you're cool. You've got like the All Atlantic title, which we'll definitely talk about later. But you've got that as kind of like the workhorse title, and now you've got Christian, where it's like, okay, like, we're building storylines from this title. Yeah, they're trivial storylines, but that's what a mid-card title needs. It needs, these trivial, silly storylines that we can extend for a period of time, but that create investment. Because now I want it. Now I'll be real. Since Nick Wayne debuted, I haven't really cared. Now I care because of Christian. Now I care to see, okay, Nick Wayne versus Christian, because of this whole your dad, your mom. I care now. Before, okay, Nick Wayne's just a young prospect, but I don't really care about him. So yeah, I want to see Christian have a proper reign with this title. Like, that's his championship, and who knows? I don't think they should split him and Luchasaurus up, but if they want to do that down the line, that they can as well, innit? So,
yeah. I don't know what I expect once Christian actually becomes champion, because I still can't imagine he's going to be like overly wrestling or anything like that. Maybe Luchasaurus just kind of officially assumes that place as the heavy, and they go from there. But I think it's fairly obvious that Christian wins at this point and becomes the actual champion, which is cool with me. Next match on the card, we had Chris Jericho versus Sammy Guevara. This was these guys just having a good old scrap, and then allegedly gonna get back to, you know, being a good team, being good friends, and going on to try and win some tag team gold. Very, very good match as well. I think like it was just kind of a standard stuff. Both guys got in their kind of greatest hits, and there was even the time in the match where they both done their little Le Sex Gods pose, obviously realizing they're not actually on the same side. I don't feel like Jericho was as harsh on Guevara as he made out he was going to be. Like, he made out he was going to proper batter him, and I don't think he did. The finish of this match was pretty excellent. You saw Sammy Guevara go up for the shooting star press, got caught in a code breaker, pinned him. They basically nailed that spot, sort of thing, which was really cool. Jericho gets the win. Jericho gets the win here. Akin to what happened with Jericho and Shawn Michaels all those years ago in WrestleMania. They literally played out this last section like the same thing. They got up to have a handshake, just like Jericho did to Shawn Michaels all them years ago. Guevara pulls him in for an actual hug, and when Guevara pulls away, kicks him in the nuts. Jericho falls to his knees, falls onto Guevara like Jericho fell on, like Shawn Michaels fell onto Jericho, and just basically squirms and then gets pushed down to the ground. And as the camera pans around, you see Don Callis walking down the aisleway. A nice little bit of videography there. Everyone starts booing because now they can see him. He walks into the ring, arm around Sammy Guevara, and he leads Sammy Guevara up the aisleway. Did you see this coming?
No, actually, I didn't. Like, I don't know. Like, I always thought like this would be like the split between them two, but I never thought it would happen like this. And I think I mentioned a few weeks ago that I wasn't a fan of Don Callis being a part of this, and I'm still not. Like,
sorry, did you think they would split here though?
No. I thought they'd shake hands and then maybe have another match. Like maybe at Wrestle Dream or pay-per-view. I didn't think this would be. I don't think this is the end of the feud, but this is the end of like their relationship as friends. Okay. I didn't think this would happen. Don Callis being involved, I'll be consistent. I said I wasn't a fan of Don Callis being involved just because I think Sammy needs to really be on his own and not join another faction. But Don Callis isn't going to make the feud worse. So it's not what I want, but it's not a bad thing. It's just personally, I think Sammy Guevara really needs to truly spread his wings and be solo. But for the sake of like hammering home the heel turn, Don Callis is instant heat for anyone he comes into contact with. So I hear it. I thought the match was excellent. The match was really good. It picked up towards the end. That code breaker spot was done tremendously well. And I see this feud having more legs. I think this feud should end in Sammy Guevara winning, though. Like, Sammy Guevara should pin Jericho. Doesn't have to be clean, it could be dirty, but pin Jericho and finally close that chapter and said, okay, I'm my own man now. Even though I might be affiliated with Don Callis, I'm my own man. I'm doing whatever.
Yeah. Sammy Guevara definitely needs a big win. This is where it should come. Like you said, whether it's clean or dirty, doesn't really matter, but he needs to get one over Jericho and distance himself from Jericho.
Yeah.
And then we see what he can go on to do afterwards. I just mentioned now that he was still seen, backstage walking with Don Callis, walked past Danny Garcia, who seemed like he wasn't too impressed with, seeing Sammy Guevara joined Don Callis, and Sammy Guevara tried to start on him, but Don Callis protected Danny Garcia, basically saying, no, he's a good guy. He's a star. Don't worry about it. So yeah, we'll see if Danny Garcia kind of picks a side here. He goes off with Jericho. We'll see how that kind of develops from here on out. We had a segment of MJF. Seemed like he was just turning up to the arena, came outside of the car, cut a promo all about Samoa Joe, how Samoa Joe obviously disrespected him all those years ago when he pushed him. Basically said he was going to choke out Joe and all of this kind of stuff. Adam Cole was with him. Adam Cole, right in the middle of their better than you, baby slogan or whatever. He answered a call to Roderick Strong, and Roderick Strong needed him, and MJF was like, "What are you doing?" Like, because MJF asked him, "Are you going to be with me for later?" Cole said yes. Cole went off. Cool. So back with the action, we had the international title match. Rey Fenix was going up against the champion Jon Moxley. Match started hot. Came out fighting on the ramp early doors. Now, around this point, okay, let me go through. Match was okay. Match was all right. There was some high spots, some dangerous stuff here and there, given the two guys involved. But it soon became apparent maybe why this match didn't reach certain heights. But I think it was okay. We saw a power driver happen to Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley was then pinned by Rey Fenix. Referee counted to 2. Referee counted like 2.9. Didn't hit the mat. It was Rick Knox, the referee. But he didn't hit the mat and Moxley didn't kick out. Hella confusion. You could literally see the entire crowd like get up, like what's happened there sort of thing. I even saw some people like booing in the first few rows and stuff like that because Moxley, it was obvious he didn't kick out. Something had went wrong. Rey Fenix, maybe not knowing what to do. Maybe there was an audible called right there by Moxley or referee. He picks up Moxley again and power drives him. He literally bounced on his head. I've seen like slow motion videos of this. Rey Fenix pinned him the second time. 1, 2, 3 count came. Rey Fenix is the new international champion. Now, I think some people were thinking, obviously doctors and everything came into the ring pretty soon after. People were thinking that it was a light concussion. I think they've come out now and said it's a light concussion that Moxley had. And they thought it happened within those power drivers that finish. What it's kind of come out that it happened towards the beginning of the match. And Moxley, whomsoever, that continued to wrestle and stuff like that. I don't know how concussions work. It looked like obviously because he wrestled the match, to a pretty, normal standard. It seemed like it was at that point, maybe from the power driver, maybe, I don't know, shook him up again. And that's why he was a bit unresponsive when that first pin happened. Dangerous stuff. But let's just talk about Moxley before we get into Rey Fenix as the champion now. What do you think, like, in terms of just protocol, what they should do, how this panned out with a referee 2 count and not actually counting the 3 the first time? What's your thoughts on it all?
I think we know, when Moxley was wrestling, even Excalibur said on commentary, "Oh, Moxley looks a bit dazed, looks a bit." I didn't perceive anything like I'm wrong with Moxley until obviously the ref count. I think I can't remember who put this on Twitter, but I think a wrestler said on Twitter that the referee's kind of at fault. You should always count to 3. Always count to 3. Let the bookers figure out what happens next. That stop isn't acceptable. In terms of protocol, these things you can't time these things, innit? And I'd rather like the match end on like okay, call it audible, 1, 2, 3, end the match, have Rey Fenix win. Then I don't know, we throw up. Obviously, of course, wrestler safety first. If Moxley was like out of it completely, then throw up the X, end the match. But it seemed like Moxley was able to continue the match, and maybe they could have rushed towards a finish. I think that would have been maybe just rush towards the finish and just get in and out of the ring as soon as possible. I think the only time where I was really out of the match was obviously the finish. Like, that's the only time where I was like, okay, I'm out of this. At first, I was like, okay, this ain't an amazing match, but it's good enough for TV. Like, I'm satisfied with this. I thought it was because obviously I assumed that it would be just a standard Moxley title defense. So when the ref count stopped the count, I was like, okay, this is weird. And when Rey Fenix went for the power driver again, I was like, okay, this is serious. And then thankfully, from the reports, it seems like a light concussion protocol might be out for a few weeks just on safety. But there's been several stories of like wrestlers being concussed within the ring. Doesn't mean it's okay. But I just think it's one of those like hazards of the business. Apparently, what I'm hearing is the reports were when Rey Fenix went for that dive off the ramp and Moxley bounced his head off the canvas. Apparently, that was when it happened. So yeah, but that's alleged, isn't it? I don't know. But for me, I don't know what else could have been done differently, unless because the only person that would know that Moxley's concussed is Moxley.
Yeah.
So unless he didn't communicate or he didn't say whatever, I don't know how the doctors would have gotten involved in time until the 3 count happened when it was obvious, okay, something's wrong here. So yeah, ultimately I think the referee should have done a better job in that moment. And obviously it's harsh because you're expecting, especially Moxley versus Phoenix, this is one of your top stars, you're expecting Moxley to kick out, but
yeah.
And again, you have to trust the wrestlers to kick out, and if they're not kicking out, then something's wrong. But
yeah,
you have to at least ensure on your half that you did your job.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because obviously, as well as all of that, like you just rightly said, Moxley is the tough guy. He's the hard man, so he probably doesn't want to, call it. He was continue to wrestle the match, like we said. Maybe it was that power driver that then kind of, wrecked him a bit more, and that's why he didn't kick out, which is it's pretty scary because when I saw he didn't kick out, I was just thinking, huh? Like, is he all right? And then my man picks him up again, and I literally watched it, and the like man dropped him on his head, and I was just like, oh my god, like what's going on here? Like, because he's not moving, he's unresponsive. Pinned him, sold it, like, oh my god, a surprise. The fans just had went from, hold on, that was meant to be a 3 count to now we've got a brand new champion. I don't think anyone had on their bingo card that Rey Fenix was going to win here at all to even be, half surprised sort of thing. It was just like, what has happened there? Moxley needs to take care of himself, man. This guy, because of his stylistically, he has the potential to be in this business for a very long time. Even as long as he's been on our screens, he's got potential for still another, 20 odd years easily if he wants it. But like, he has to look after himself. It's not, we make joke and make light of the bleeding and this and that, but this one, concussion, I beg, like, there's no need to continue, sort of thing. He could have called it audible. I don't feel too good. Just mashed up. Rey Fenix got like disqualified or something like that, and then they just could have dealt with it from there, like you're saying.
Yeah, I think he called it from reports. I think he called it audible at the end. So when he realized he didn't kick out, he's like, yeah, just pin me. So, but yeah, you're right. You could have called it audible a lot further, a lot earlier on if he like was aware that I'm not feeling good. This is bad. Because there's a difference between I'm banged up and when I can't move. You know what I'm saying? So,
and we have to remember, obviously it's not just him he endangers if something happens. It's Rey Fenix, especially with Rey Fenix's style. If he has to catch Rey Fenix from doing something and he's off because he's in the wrong position, he's dizzy, like that could be catastrophe. Like, but let's talk of Rey Fenix quickly. Rey Fenix is now the AEW International Champion by hook or by crook. I personally don't mind it. He's someone that we would have all wanted to have a singles run of some sort in AEW. It has come to him and fallen in his lap now completely by mistake. I am very much hoping that Tony Khan doesn't do Tony Khan in the sense of this isn't what I wanted. So the minute Moxley's better, put it back on Moxley. I hope he's very adaptable in this situation. I hope he, gives Rey Fenix, this is basically an open challenge belt. So, and there's probably no one better to have it in that case than a Rey Fenix that can have like banger matches week on week or every 2 weeks, whatever the case may be. And this is more or less now in terms of that open match style, very akin to what people fell in love with when it comes to WCW and like lucha wrestling, and just bringing that to our screens. And AEW have been doing a very good job with that, pinching all these luchadors from CMLL and AAA and all of that kind of stuff to put on their screen. So this is a chance to just do it on a grand scale, have a title, whilst they're doing it on the line every week. So I'm really hoping that even if Moxley is gonna win it back, like give this guy like at least 6 weeks to 2 months with the title. You see what I mean? Like I think at the very least he deserves it. Even if it wasn't in your plans, he deserves it. He's a good wrestler. I'm sure he can carry it for you in that aspect. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, I think concussion protocol regulates that Moxley will be out for at least a couple weeks. I think that's the way concussion protocol works. Like once somebody's diagnosed concussed, they're out for like at least 3 weeks. I say give Phoenix, like you mentioned, there's a lot of luchadors in AEW or who have relationships with AEW. Bro, this is a perfect time to spotlight Lucha Libre Wrestling. You could do Rey Fenix versus Commander 1 week. I think Bandido's still out with an injury, but I think you got Jadis to go. You could do a job. Obviously, they want to protect Rouge, so I understand if they don't want to do Rouge, but Vikingo can come in and do something. You know what I'm saying? And then if you don't want to do just luchadors, bro, Rey Fenix is a dynamic wrestler where you put him in the ring with any guy who's good, the match is going to be dynamic and fast flowing. So Rey Fenix could have a very good short international title run, and this is one of those things. Obviously, it wasn't planned. But I wouldn't say it's a blessing, but it's another avenue you can go down.
Yeah.
And also it'll be a nice contrast if we do Orange Cassidy's long title run and just have like a short sprint run with Rey Fenix, where you give him like maybe till Full Gear. Apparently they got another pay-per-view coming up in December. I don't know if they'll go that far, but just give him like a sprint, just weekly defenses on Dynamite and just fast-paced, high action. So when Moxie is ready to come back, at maybe like a Full Gear earliest, no sooner than Full Gear. At Full Gear at earliest, we can say, okay, Rey Fenix had a short run, but he did something with that run. Do you know what I'm saying? Exactly. And this is why, obviously, you never plan for your wrestlers to get concussed or get injured, but this is the importance of booking big matches at big shows, where worst case scenario, something bad happens to your main talent, you have someone next to them, you have someone in line where it's like, okay, they're not who I had in mind, but the audience don't doubt their credibility. Because I don't think anyone right now, obviously, wish Moxley a speedy recovery, but no one right now is saying, "Oh, why is the title on Rey Fenix?" Like, like, sure. I think most people are open to the idea of like, okay, Moxley's out, get well soon, but now we've got Rey Fenix here, let's do something with him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even Rey Fenix versus Penta, I think there could be one for the ages. So, just Tony Khan, show adaptability, because I don't feel like we've necessarily seen it before. It's always been like, well, as soon as this person's well, we're going to get back to the plan. Like, this is an opportunity to kind of shake things up a bit, and kind of make another guy rise through the ranks with this opportunity. So yeah, we'll see how this title run pans out for him. Following this, we got Samoa Joe. He was doing his final promo for MJF. What I enjoyed about this promo is that until the last line of the promo, he never mentioned the AEW World Title. It was pretty much, I've got you, I've caught you, sort of thing. Like, and you can't avoid me anymore. And obviously, he spoke about the violence that's going to ensue in their match and stuff like that. And then, obviously, like I say, to wrap it up, he said, and then I'll walk away as AEW World Champion. Yeah, very good little feud, this one. And obviously, we're going to get to the main event shortly. Like I mentioned earlier, they promoted what's going to be on Rampage in regards to the tag team title, the 4-way tag team title shot. Then we had the women's title. Saraya, the champion, defending against Toni Storm. This was good. Toni Storm looks like she's got a new entrance. Just really playing into this character. Like, she's doing the most, and it's brilliant. She's so good. There was a part right at the beginning where Toni Storm was just standing there smiling, like kind of crazed smile at Saraya, and Saraya's shying at her. Why are you smiling? Started slapping her up. Decent match between the two. I think that, we know that Saraya isn't necessarily where she maybe once was in terms of in ring. Toni Storm, more than anything, we know she, as good as a wrestler she is, she was kind of focusing on getting the character stuff in here. We saw her go under the ring for her shoes, look out for the shoes gimmick and stuff like that, but she's now playing into her wrestling, which is good. In terms of, we saw at this point, I was sold, to be honest, when we saw Toni Storm lip Saraya. and then hit her with the what's her finish called? Storm Zero?
Storm Zero, I think. Yeah.
I can't lie. I jumped out of my chair. I was waiting for the free count. I thought it was a wrap. Like, but Saraya kicked out. And after Saraya used the spray, the what do they call it? Outcast spray on her.
Yeah.
And Toni Storm kicked out. And eventually we saw Saraya hit her with a nightcap, like her DDT kind of move. I think she hit it from height, from like turnbuckle.
Yeah, turnbuckle, yeah.
And then, put away Toni Storm. So a little decent match. I was kind of see where, Toni Storm and Saraya go from this point in terms of what I assume the relationship's over, but we'll see if this drives Toni Storm into a breakdown. How did you see this match?
You know what? I really enjoyed this match. Like, it's probably my second favorite match of the whole night, and probably my favorite Saraya match she's had in AEW. This Toni Storm gimmick is over.
This was the best. This was the best match she's had in AEW for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the bars are low, but it's the what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But this Toni Storm gimmick, I love it. But the thing, I don't get why I like it. I don't get why people like it. I just do.
Yeah.
I just do like this. I don't know. It's just a quirkiness to it that I enjoy. And I like you when Toni Storm hitting that power drive. I was like, are they gonna make her 3-time champion this fast? And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
She's gonna be the most decorated woman in AEW already. Yeah. Even Saraya winning, I was like, okay, like I mean, it's women's division, so I say let's see where they go. We know they're going nowhere, but this match was like, okay, like I look at the match in isolation. I was like, I'm happy with this. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what? I know this might be beneath her, but send Toni Storm to the TBS title.
I was literally going to say that when you said where they're going with this. Yeah.
I feel what that gimmick will do for that championship. And Tony, and the thing is about the TBS title, that we've said this with Jade and we're seeing it with Statlander, is that they're too scared to put like the heavy contenders in that picture. We saw it with Jade, but we were assuming with Jade, okay, they're saving them. But Statlander's competed with some of the heavyweights of the division before, but with the TBS title, it feels like they're segregated. Send Toni Storm to that TBS title picture, and her gimmick alone will raise the profile of that title, and it will still be in line with the work rate moniker you're trying to put behind that title, because Toni Storm's one of the best workers in the company, and she's got a hot gimmick. I would hate to see her waste away and just be restricted to backstage segments and be in randoms. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, put her in that TBS title picture. And also, I know this is unrelated, but I know Athena's ROH Women's Champion. Yeah, graduate, please. We need you back. We need you back here. Like, we need you back. Bring my team.
Yeah, that's some good points, man. I think like Toni Storm and Britt Baker can drop down to the TBS title. Chris Statlander is still the person they're trying to kind of push. She doesn't have to drop it immediately to one of them, but having Britt Baker and Toni Storm around that title can definitely help as like chasing and make Statlander feel bigger. Yeah. And then leave Saraya is champion, obviously the women's world title. We know for sure before the end of the year, if all is well, Mercedes is coming in to probably do a program with Saraya around that title. Leave Shida in that title scene as like a pretender. This stuff her and Britt is doing is silly,
bro.
So leave Shida in there, and then I would maybe even promote Athena past the TBS and just have her in the world title scene as a pretender as well. She ain't got to win it straight off the bat, but like you're saying, they need to give some more importance to that TBS title. It can't just be seen as like the rookie mid-card title, because we will soon not care. Like, we cared about Jade because they made her seem big, even though she wasn't all there yet in the ring. Statlander is a lot further down and better in the ring, but if we're all honest with ourselves, hasn't got much character-wise. So, we need to find the balance there. And like you said, Toni right now is ticks both boxes. So, it will be good. It will be good to kind of see them shake it up a bit there and put some spotlight on that title. This then led to obviously the final match, the world title match, Samoa Joe versus MJF. Before MJF's entrance, I can't believe it. They done the whole Bret Hart commercial thing. Obviously, back in the day, it was the child that shouts Bret. Bret walks back down and puts his glasses on the kid. This kid shouted MJF. MJF walked down the aisle, the hallway, put his Burberry scarf around the kid and whispered something to the kid. And the kid turns around to repeat it to his dad and says, "I'm adopted." Typical MJF stuff. Excalibur says, "Yep, that's our scumbag," and MJF makes his entrance. Big ovation. The American sports teams all over his jacket. Like, I mean, I get what he was trying to do, but it's like you wouldn't have an Arsenal and a Tottenham badge on the same jacket just because they're both from North London. Like, so yeah, I was just thinking, okay, I don't know, but yeah, whatever. Really good match that these guys had. Very entertaining match. You know, MJF hit him with his kangaroo kick and all sorts. There was, again, for me in this match, it was the muscle buster to MJF. I was done. I was done. I didn't mind. I thought, you know, Samoa Joe, I don't mind this as champion. And yeah, I thought it was gonna happen, but I thought, okay, something is gonna save him. Maybe they're gonna pull out the referee, or maybe Adam Cole's gonna now appear and pull out MJF from under Samoa Joe. But neither. They turned the camera on the 2 count, and I saw how far MJF was from the rope, and I was thinking he can't even reach his foot there. Like, is he about to lose? He kicked out, and I was like, okay, cool. We saw Adam Cole running down the ramp. Adam Cole jumped, and then, like, because of the way the camera was, you didn't really see how he landed. But then it turned to Adam Cole just in the corner of the screen, and you saw him like literally getting off the floor, like limping. He didn't land his jump. And I don't know if you've heard, he's injured.
He's injured.
Yeah, so
that's like CM Punk guardrail type stuff. I'm like, oh my god. But they always say in wrestling, it's like the most inconspicuous things. You could hit like a Canadian destroyer 10 times and be fine. You twist your ankle the wrong way. Yeah. Man,
not even in a match. He I guess, I don't know, adrenaline or just having to get to where he needed to get to in time. He jumped off there, like literally had to pick himself off the ground. So that's where he done it. Started the chair to lead on Max when Max was in the headlock, was just nearly at the Coquina clutch stage. Max kind of powered out of it. There was a bit of a rush into one corner, so the referee dived out the ring to protect himself. Then we saw MJF hit Samoa Joe, I think it was with a low blow.
Yeah.
And then he unraveled the tape on his arm to use that as a means to choke Joe. They sold that very well. He covered it up with his arm, gave him his own kind of coquina clutch, choked him out like he said he would. Referee came back in, checked on Joe. It was all said and done. He stuffed the tape under his armpit, but then when the referee lifted his arm to kind of celebrate with him or celebrate him, the tape obviously fell from there. He picked up the referee, kind of started dancing with him that he had celebrated. Adam Cole slid into the ring to take the tape to hide it. It's like these two are just like cartoon thieves. Like, it's just brilliant stuff. Yeah, so MJF retained here. At the end of the match, we saw Samoa Joe give Adam Cole a push, and MJF kind of stood in his way, like, you know, defended his friend. But Samoa Joe paid his respects to MJF and shook his hand and left the ring. And then, like I was saying earlier, they had this extended like celebration. They probably had more TV time than they expected, where MJF and Adam Cole were in the ring celebrating. And yeah, like we said, Adam Cole injured himself. Apparently, he left the arena on crutches. Hopefully, he's not injured or banged up too bad, because he's supposed to be defending his tag team championship on WrestleDream next weekend. So yeah. But how did you see the world title match?
Oh, I love this match. I really enjoyed this. I think Samoa Joe was like, you know, we've said this before. Oh, Samoa Joe's had a good match. He had a good, like, he's, and I know this word in wrestling's offensive, but like reliable. But he's, and it's weird because I remember watching him in NXT against Karrion Kross, and I'm like, this guy's done. Finished. And when AEW signed him, and I was like, I don't know about this guy. I don't know about this guy. And I think the first couple matches in AEW, he was easing his way in. But then Samoa Joe's just been on a tear. Like, think about was it this year he had the match with Darby for the TNT title? Darby TNT
It
title.
must have been. Yeah, it
Must have been this year.
Yeah.
And then obviously the match he had with Punk at Wembley was great. And Samoa Joe just up and down the card has just been like, he hasn't put a foot wrong. And he's been one of those guys. Of course, we talk about, you know, guys at Orange Cassidy or guys at Gunther and WWE. Obviously, them guys have had historic title runs. When you talk about just Samoa Joe, just be in terms of like that mid-card position, bro, like I can't think of too many people that are better than him in the world right now. But he flies under the radar a little bit because obviously he's got the Ring of Honor title, but the way the Ring of Honor title was treated isn't the same as the All Atlantic or the IC. And plus, he's not in any like prominent feuds. He's in these like 2-week feuds here and there, like he was with the title. But Samoa Joe is just someone who needs his flowers, isn't it? I just think, you know, because I think it's easy to go into this match and praise MJF for the work he's been doing. Or MJF's been killing it, but Samoa Joe this year has been amazing, innit? So I just wanted to spotlight him in this match and just credit the work he's done. But overall, man, these title defenses from MJF, they don't miss, man. Like, they don't miss. Like, there's just a level of consistency where you expect to, like, I'm just going to knock it out of the park. So it's become boring. It's like talking about Man City in football. It's boring, fam. It's just quality. You know, it's just quality. Yeah. It's just quality. It's just MJF is just somebody like, he's somebody who's mastered the sport and he's only been here like a couple years. Like he's already clocked it. He knows what he is. He knows what he's good at, and he just works towards his strengths every time.
Yeah, he's like people. I always hear this person's a student of the game, this, that, and the other, blah blah blah. And respectfully, more time when I hear that person is either like a great character or a fantastic worker.
Yeah,
it's rarely the two combined.
Yeah.
And I just feel it's like one of these things like GOAT. This person's the GOAT that we just shout about. This person's student of the game. But MJF is honestly a student. Like everything, like you can watch his match and just dissect. This is from this, you know, back in the day, or this is from this, and he incorporates stuff that is beyond his years. And it's like he was really, really a fan, and he's seen his opportunity, and he took it with both hands and stuff like that. Like he's just phenomenal. Like as a world champion at this age. And we always say as wrestling fans, you know, usually the first world championship that comes to people is never really the best one because they need to grow into it, they get used to it, they'll understand next time what to do better. We're already saying this is the best AEW world title run, like since the company was made, like the best world champion, like the stories he's telling with each of his opponents. Even what I enjoyed from this, obviously it looks like him and Joe are basically done with this program, the way it kind of ended and stuff like that, which is also good because AEW is, you know, we're known to kind of keep going. The story never ends in some cases. But, you know, this was probably, obviously with the Punk stuff that happened, was meant to just be something else. And Joe kind of just stood in at this point. And it's good. It's enough. And we can move on. Like, you see what I mean? Like, I just feel like, yeah, Joe, as excellent as Joe is, and would have been a fantastic dance partner, someone that's so experienced, MJF is just on another level, and it doesn't end here because we still know obviously Roderick Strong is cooking in the background.
Yeah,
Adam Cole is still cooking in the background.
Did you see the little Easter? This might be a reach, but there was a little Easter egg in the match. He did an Osprey spot.
Yes. I did see that the flip over
the Osprey spot, and I'm like, MJF is a very smart man, very calculated man. I don't know whether that was like, okay, cool, that's a cool move I'm gonna use, because remember, MJF doesn't like MJF's arsenal's very grounded and muted. He doesn't pull off flashy stuff like that. So when he done that, and Osprey's the person, at least of recent memory, that's his signature move. That's a signature combination.
Yeah.
I'm like, was that just okay, I'm using this in this match because I feel like it, or was that like, look out for something? I don't know. Maybe as a fan, I like I said, I can't get mad if it doesn't happen because this is me as a fan speculating.
Yeah.
But I literally put on Twitter, don't play with me. I tweeted, I said, don't play with me. Don't you that cool. The first time, I'm gonna just put it past. If I see this guy do some forearm hidden blade type stuff, I'm gonna start fantasy booking.
No, yeah.
And if I do, that's a feud I'd like to see. If Ospreay signs for AEW, that's a feud I'd like to see in the future.
We just said this guy's a student of the game. That wasn't by mistake. That wasn't by chance. Either it's in the plans or he's trying to put it into the plans.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely something. Nothing that this guy does is by mistake. Everything is a calculated, well thought of, well, drilled move. So for him to do that, when he's done it, obviously he didn't land it like as smooth as Ospreay, innit?
Yeah.
But like I said, I was like, don't fall. And then I was like, oh, Ospreay.
Yeah.
Like I literally clocked, like, so yeah. If it's not in the plans, like I say, it's something he's trying to put into the plans.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It's funny to see, like, I don't know where this world. I still assume Adam Cole is going to be the guy to beat him. That was always my kind of first pick the minute Adam Cole came back from injury, but I don't know where or when I want this to end. And now that MJF is obviously he's a baby face at this point, like, it's going to end abruptly. He'll face Adam Cole or something, and we're not going to think, oh, this is the place it's going to end. It will end abruptly somewhere we weren't expecting it, maybe on Dynamite or something like that, and not a pay-per-view. And it'll only feed into us feeling more sorry for MJF and stuff like that. Like,
and also, I remember that when MJF started his tour, when he had the list of people, and one of the notable names of the list was Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah,
Hangman Adam Page is currently in this feud with Swerve, but the whole thing about the feud is that you've lost your edge. So maybe it's a thing of, do you build Hangman up and get a Hangman versus MJF, because they've never interacted before.
Yeah, I think that's the full gear match.
Yeah,
and they can obviously still play into, because if it was Full Gear where Hangman won his first world title, innit?
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the Full Gear match. He does this feud with Swerve, comes out on top, and then going into November, that's what we're getting. Yeah, it's going to be so interesting. And then, of course, there's still that storyline of 2024, which, to be honest, at this point, even feels a bit irrelevant because of all these other, because of all these other pretenders and everyone that's in this scene that could be gunning for him. It doesn't even seem, but he only literally mentioned it maybe like a week or two ago again.
Yeah.
Like, the bidding war of 2024, whatever he said. So maybe it's just something they're keeping on the back burner, keeping it warm just in case they want to use it. But yeah, phenomenal title run so far, and it doesn't even look like it's letting up anytime soon. It doesn't look like we're running out of challengers. They're constantly keeping people warm, heating people up so they look like good challenges for him. They're doing a really, really good job by MJF right now as world champion.
Yeah, for sure.
But guys, that is our show. Really solid episode of AEW Dynamite, obviously under the umbrella of Grand Slam. We've got a 2-hour Rampage Grand Slam this weekend. Some decent matches on there, so I'll definitely be tuning in.
Collision looks good, though.
Collision looks good. We got the Texas strap match. Is it Texas? No, Texas death match.
What happened to Bubble Wrap? What happened to, like, he's got a match next week and he's doing like, and the thing is, I know, Tony Khan, listen, if he gets injured, I'm putting the blame on you. But I know this is Danielson saying, yo, Tony, you think I can wrestle a death match? Nah, bro. Unless they gimmick but the problem is Danielson, they're never gonna like half-heart anything. They're not gonna go in and gimmick the match. He's gonna blade, he's gonna do all of this. And then they got the match between Jay White and Andrade, which came out of nowhere, but I'm gassed for, because those are two guys I want to see do more. Even we speak about like contenders, and now that MJF's a babyface, throw Jay White in the mix. You could like there's names, man.
There's a lot of names.
Like, I think Jay White has rehabilitated like from his initial run. But right now, it still feels like they're playing the waiting game with him. It's like, okay, we're waiting to give him something. And maybe that's the case. But I say throw him into a title picture. Him losing the world title match doesn't hurt his credibility. Him having a banging match at a pay-per-view doesn't hurt his credibility.
No, it doesn't at all. I think the only other thing we might have to wait to see, which could affect the booking as well is obviously this rumor of AEW going to 12 pay-per-views. Apparently there's a December pay-per-view.
Yes, apparently there is.
Well, I don't think it's been named as of yet or anything like that. But yeah, if AEW do go to, I think it's HBO Max, and then there is 12 pay-per-views a year, that will obviously have to produce more contenders at a more rapid rate, you would think. There might be a couple of rematches in there, stuff. And obviously right now, like at Wrestle Dream, it's just going to be a tag match involving MJF. So he may not wrestle as champion at every single one of these. And I think that would kind of lose its novelty as well, because MJF isn't someone that likes to wrestle. Yeah, like, you know, what are you, a sick pervert, as he says. So yeah, they'll have to see how they manage that once they're doing more pay-per-views. But if they end up doing more pay-per-views, 100%, Jay White is someone that they could, you know, easily kind of slide into a position. Doesn't have to win on his first attempt. You know, I think MJF overcoming Bullet Club Gold as a whole, the crowd would love that. And that could bring us as well a bit closer to something like Adam Cole versus Jay White as well, which I'm sure fans would want to see.
For sure.
So yeah, it's options. I guess the landscape of AEW is changing a bit. We'll see how that plays out, and then yeah, they might have to look at stuff like that. You know, like we're saying, Hangman, Switchblade, Jay White, Takeshita. They could run back Takeshita again.
I can't. I need to see Kenny versus MJF at some point. Maybe not for the title. That it feels criminal not to do that. Like that's like when you're talking about money matches, that's probably like one of the biggest money matches you can make in AEW right now. Like now that Punk's gone, you think about like just all time like box office matches. That match is there.
For me, I was always thinking of Omega if MJF was a heel. And we were doing this 2024 storyline.
Yes,
it's like you send in Omega as the hero to save AEW to win the title. And even then, I was still thinking MJF beats him.
Yeah,
MJF beats him. It's like, oh my god, now what's the hope, basically, because he's beaten like the best guy we've got here.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that he's a face character, and you know, it's a match they should definitely still do. I just don't know how they would necessarily.
Yeah, just not now, especially with MJF, the one MJF's on that now. Like, keep him as a baby face and put him up against top heels.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Even Sammy Guevara now, he's joining these, man. Like, it could be someone that they run back and have as well. Maybe the match and the whole program will hit a bit better because it's got the help of Don Callis around it as well. More so than that 4-pillar stuff they done earlier this year. But yeah, man, a good episode of the show of Revolution Radio, a good Grand Slam to review. We will be back same time next week. Obviously we've got, like I say, Rampage, Collision, anything notable happens there, we'll talk about it here. And yeah, like the stream, Revolution Radio, subscribe if you're new to Rest Things, and Rest Things podcast out first thing tomorrow morning. We'll see you guys next week.